What do you easily get nostalgic about?
Grad school, undergrad, for different reasons with different emotions attached to them.
What do you easily get nostalgic about?
I get nostalgic, I guess, when I listen to music because it'll put me right at a place and time. In terms of like a specific time, I had a really awesome part of my life between undergrad and master's. I had 2 years where I worked at kind of like a computational linguistics sort of think tank place. And it was in Portland, and I was driving at the time, and it was just a lovely place to work. And I would drive home, and the sun would be setting, and I was like in my favorite city, and I was like well paid with like a cool job that's related to where I wanted to go. I had just started dating my partner at the time, so it really felt like everything was like as it should be, like coming together. So those 2 years was like I think a really, really nice time where things just felt sort of right. So I still think about that time period quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
I'm very nostalgic person, I think. I like remember things, and it can be anything. But I think that one interesting thing about my life, and many of the people's lives, that especially in our business, that you have to move so much, is I feel like I lived many lives. Depending on where I was, it was all very different. So one day I will remember my life during my PhD in France, or my time in Mallorca, or my studies in Barcelona. And so, yeah, I just like remembering things.
Yeah, yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
Oh, everything. I'm very, I'm an archivist. I like keeping memories of everything, and I keep like tickets of past, photographs, things, all the apartments where I've lived, all my things from when I was a kid, all my books, all the places where we were on vacation. So yeah, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
I think for me, nostalgia is most easily triggered by music.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, I went through some health crisis, and then for months I was basically at home recovering. And at that point, I found that what I retreated to was music. And I think that somehow at an emotional level, music is more is stronger than anything else.
Yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
A little bit nostalgic about grad school and my postdoc also. So we had a really great gang during my PhD in Yashua's lab. And it was really exciting. It was kind of the beginnings of deep learning, a resurgence of neural nets and stuff. And also for somewhat similar reasons in Toronto when I was a postdoc in Jeff Hinton's lab. But also it's just like when you think about it, there were like amazing people there. And so also for that reason, like sometimes I think back when Ilya was there, Russell Kudinov was there, Ryan Adams is where I met him, and so many other great people. Yeah, those were good times.
Yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
Nostalgic about. I think I get nostalgic about when my kids were little. Now they're old. They're like, 11 to 17, but like that age when they're like just about a year old, or 6 months or something like that. I really wish we could just go back and forth between time, because at the time I don't think I had the mind space to appreciate it nearly as much. But now it's like, oh.
Yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
I'm not that prone to nostalgia. I mean, I can think back. I guess maybe grad school time with a big caveat that I know that I was not at my happiest then, because it was a stressful time. But there were good things. I liked living in Baltimore. I met my wife at that time. We were learning to dance, and we were in a fun city. I had a lot of good friends. I somehow managed to make time for all of this. I didn't need as much sleep. But it might just be nostalgia for being young. I'm not sure.
Yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
About my dad. He died young. He died when he was 64. And on top of that, my parents were divorced, so I only saw him 6 weeks every summer. And so, and that's very special times, and I'm always nostalgic about those times.
What do you easily get nostalgic about?
A bunch of things. It's mainly about like something that somebody did for me in the past. So for example, when I was a kid, in India, we wear uniforms and like shoes when we go to school. So my dad used to like polish the shoes. He would wake up early in the morning and do that, just so that my shoes are neat and clean. And similarly, my mom would wake up very early in the morning, so that she could prepare like a proper meal for my lunch. She would not let me like take any kind of fast food for my lunch, and she was like, "Oh, you are allowed to do that only one day a week on Saturday." Just like she would wake up early in the morning. So those kind of things. And I also distinctly remember an instance related to my PhD advisor, Dhruv Batra. So I was giving a talk at a VQA workshop. This was in 2016, and I am short, and I was standing behind a podium, which was taller, and I mean, because of the height of the podium, a significant portion of me was not visible. I think my only head was visible. So then in that like workshop hall, he went and then he brought like a step stool for me. And I mean, obviously he didn't know where he would find a step stool, but somehow he managed to figure it out. And then so I do get nostalgic about things like this.
Yeah, that's nice. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
I am nostalgic about, so I would say my old college friends and those kind of things. Every so often I'll call some of them up and we'll just kind of be like, oh, remember. So I think that's probably the only thing I become nostalgic about.
Yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
I'm not really that nostalgic. I tend to forget like what has happened in the past. I think like sometime, I don't know, like, so, I sometimes, when I think back to my time at my house, I grew up in upstate New York, and thinking back to that time, and like just being able to play a lot in the afternoons and being able to explore outside, and having that like freedom from responsibility, and like the kind of like an very like open future in front of me.
Yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
I think I get nostalgic about having more of the time to think, and be able to just like kind of go deeper into the beauty of math. I did that, at the end of my high school when we had to take the entrance exam for the IITs, where I went to college. Coming from Mysore, which is a smaller city, there was no prep schools or any kind of coaching available. So it was a lot of self-learning, right? And but that way is great. I mean, then you could not fake it. You couldn't just say, okay, somehow I'll engineer this solution, because you had to kind of understand every step of the solution to get there. Okay, why is this done? What if I did it in another way? Would it break down? So I had to constantly keep questioning every aspect. Did I learn this right or not? And so that helped me like kind of do a lot of that on my own without a time pressure or without I feel like sometimes also bad teaching is hurtful, right? If the instructor is not giving you that path of learning, then, it's really bad, because you can cheat and do well in the exams, but you've not really gotten an understanding. So I many times I feel nostalgic about how I could really take the time to understand and appreciate the beauty of math. And I keep trying to go back to that. I do that in limited times now, but I always enjoy that.
Yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
Well, I think it's probably not that surprising that I don't get nostalgic. I think I really believe the past is an illusion, and the future doesn't exist. So for me, I really try to bring that more towards gratitude about what I have right now, and ideally in the particular moment that I'm in, and that if I see ways where I could improve that, then that's probably where I should be focusing my energy, than to imagine a time when things were different or better.
Yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
Somehow, like memories of places I lived, I get nostalgic over. Like, oh, I really remember that restaurant I used to eat at in Minneapolis, or I used to go boogie boarding in Hawaii on the beach, or things like that. Just memories that you haven't experienced in a while, but that are still pretty vivid.
Yeah. What do you easily get nostalgic about?
Nostalgic about let's see. Probably my family, kind of in Taiwan, and so probably cover kind of probably, and like be able to like, because like in Taiwan, life in Taiwan is very convenient, and sometimes it's here, especially for this COVID things, like it's really kind of get stuck at here, but you see the life is still going on in Taiwan. Is still very convenient. Everything goes on. So you hear about good news about that. Kind of sometimes you miss the life there.
Yeah, makes sense.